All right. All right. Your boy is back for another live stream. I'm going to kind of start off going at it because really I'm doing this for long form content to be able to give you the facts as I get them. You know what I mean? So, today's topic, and right now, let me just show you all. I got my phone right here, my iPad in front of me. I will be simultaneously streaming through my phone, through TikTok, while streaming live as well on YouTube, using two devices as well as my MacBook, and I have my other phone here. Technology galore right now, and I want to make sure that the live stream is going. And I'm gonna show my folks, make sure they see that I am live, and show my folks what I look like, y'all. Hold up. Oh yeah, I'm live. Let me turn that down. And so y'all can see in TikTok land what I look like. This is your boy on YouTube right now as I show them what I'm looking like. You know what? I might even keep that right there so y'all can see your boy. Uh, Yeah, but it's gonna be hella latent, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm doing right now. So we are going to get to the topic of the Geechees. The Geechees are not Gullahs. Now, what I have up here right now, just to kind of get started, is a map of the Guale area. The Guale area next to the Ogeechee River. Okay, right next there to the Ogeechee River. I'm gonna set that down here. Let me pause that. Right next to the Ogeechee River. Now this is where my journey began down the rabbit hole. Not a rabbit hole, but down the timeline of what is a Wale, what is a Yuchi, who are the Geechees, what is a Gullah, what is a Gullah Geechee. At the time, I was looking at a book, so let me show you a couple receipts from some books that I was looking at. One, it was the letter of Hernando de Soto, okay? And in the letter of Hernando de Soto, they talked about the province of Guale, okay? So that way people can see it here. So they talk about the province of Guale. Now, first, that was one of the first mentions, but let me show you another mention within the book. Let's see. I'm gonna find the right one called Wale. And there was a couple references there to it, but there's one important reference to the Wale. Um, Let me just find it. Oh, come on now. Maybe I didn't save it, but I will type it in. I might find it here. Waldape. There we go. It should be there. There we go. For whatever reason, it didn't find it that way. So, in the same letter of Hernando de Soto right here, let me show the people over here in YouTube land. Let me go ahead and switch me over here so that way y'all have a bigger picture versus me. So we have the letter of Hernando de Soto. Now everybody can see it at a great rate. And in the letter of Hernando de Soto, let me move this over for the TikTok audience. It talks about Wale and how they said Waldape. So let's go up here. And we're talking about Lucas Vasquez de Alian. Okay, Lucas Vasquez de Alian was one of the people here looking for the Jordan River, which he said was the fountain of youth. That's a whole nother rabbit hole in itself, okay? But we're going to go to this. It says the auditor Lucas Vasquez de Alian, I didn't say his last part, but a resident of Santo Domingo and 6 others, townsmen of his, I think, left there with vessels, of some which Indians of the island of Yega at the end of the Lucayo Islands gave account to see the river and land of St. Helena. And it says 7 leagues to the north of those is the town which, instead of pronouncing it Oritza, they who went there called it Chicora. And as for the other town, for Guale, they said Waldape. Now the Spaniards saw no new towns, they explored further, whatever. Now when I first saw this, I had heard references to Waldape. Now, Tariq Nasheed always uses a lot of the same talking points, and one of the talking points he uses is San Miguel del Guadape. Hey, what about San Miguel del Guadape? And every time he utilized that particular talking point, he was talking about a town full of black Indians that all these historians wrote about seeing black looker ship Indians. That town was called Waldape, or at least San Miguel del Guadape. Now, by the time I got to this book, I wasn't sure if Waldape was the same. I saw Guale, but they said Waldape. So first thing is first to note is in the letter of Hernando de Soto, they're saying that, hey, the Spaniards could not pronounce the name Guale, so they called it Waldape. So the first things first to take into account is the only reason why Waldape exists is because Guale exists. The word does not exist anywhere in history other than a mispronunciation of the word Guale, okay, or Guale. So that's the first things first to keep in mind. Now, why is that important? Well, when you look up things about, and this is in today naturalgeneralhistory.org, this talks about McIntosh County in that same area where Guale is. This is the same area where the map that I showed you of Guale was. We'll go back to it in a minute. Let me just check my phone here. Sorry, y'all. Okay, sorry, y'all. Okay, so the only reason why Waldape exists is because of Guale, right? And when you go to McIntosh County information, you see where it says Waldape, San Miguel del Guadape, right? So the only reason why Guadape exists is because Guale exists, right? Like I've been saying. So let's read. You got Lucas Vasquez de Alian, as we saw in the letter of Hernando de Soto, right? Same person that they talking about. Right over here, Lucas Vasquez de Alian. What makes this more important, the way what I got it, is that I'm actually reading the primary source from the letter of Hernando de Soto. So we get to see it change from this point in time, okay? So this letter was supposedly written in the 1500s, okay? And this is a translation of that letter. And this translation was done, I want to say in the 17 or 1800s. I'll have to go pull it up. But either way, as you see, this will be the first uses of it. So when we go to over here, this would be somebody else's interpretation or their take on history based upon what they read. Did they read the letter of Hernando de Soto? Are they just repeating talking points that they've heard and never actually read the letter? You don't really know. Okay, but let's keep looking. They're talking about Lucas Vasquez de Alian, right? It says, long before, had 600 colonists landed in Georgia coast on the day of 1526, over 200 years before Oglethorpe founded the Georgia colony. It also represents another historic moment, the first time enslaved Africans set foot on the United States. So you see how they threw that propaganda in there? Now, in the letter of Hernando de Soto, I don't remember them necessarily talking about, I gotta go remember. I think they did have some Negroes with them, but we all know that some of the Spaniards were also of a swarthy color too. And some of the first ones was Lucas Vasquez de Alian in particular, possibly. I ain't done enough research on him in particular to go back as far in his lineage, but we're gonna take a look even further. So they talk about Alian established San Miguel de Gualdape and on Sapelo Sound in present-day McIntosh County. Now, McIntosh is the name of a Indian chief who's a fake $5 Indian. Okay, let's actually pull up a quick. And he was known as a definite. What the heck is that? Oh, that's some on TikTok or Twitter. He was known as a, let's say, Mac. Damn, what was his first name? Well, you know what? Macintosh slave owner. I bet if you just type that in, you're going to get what you need. Right? There he goes. Mr. William McIntosh. Okay? So this is the McIntosh of McIntosh County, the so-called Creek Indian who had bought over 110 slaves for $25,000. One of the biggest slave owners down there in the whatevers, right? At least that's what they call them, you know. But who was he enslaving? You know, when you really correlate the times, you know, he's around 1775 in Low Country. You can go look at some American Indian Wars timeline. I bet that's around the same time. If you go here to an American Indian Wars timeline, okay, and we're going to go down to, because I remember it was right around that time, where they at? The Chickamauga Wars, okay, with the Cherokee, okay. Now, they would have been in the same area as said McIntosh County, the Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, Carolinas, and Georgia. Anybody? Carolinas and Georgia. Now, where is this McIntosh County? Oh, it's over here in where? In Georgia, right? But he said that, you know, they're going to tell you that, you know, Mr. McIntosh, you know, he got him 110 slaves for $25,000. But again, what kind of slaves did he get? Did he get African slaves? Or did after the Chickamauga Wars, they sold a bunch of those people, here it is, let me move this damn thing out the way, Cherokees selling those captured, let me go down here like this, selling those captured into slavery. Okay, in 1776 to 1794. Okay, that's during damn sure during the certain wars, but they'll tell you that they were African Indian, you know, Africans that, you know, slaves. But either way, that's your McIntosh, and the reason why that's important is because we're talking about Guale area, the Guale area, which is now Gualdape, which is now McIntosh County. Now, how did that happen? Well, the Spanish came first, okay? The Spanish came first. Lucas Vasquez de Alian came first. Or, you know, yeah, he did, because that's what we were also reading in the primary source document that I had up, which was somewhere. Oh, I had the screenshot up in the primary source document of the letter of Hernando de Soto. What's up, all y'all? This I'm gonna show y'all, man. I'm simulcast, and I'm gonna show the TikTok world what I'm actually looking like on the YouTube world. Hold on, let me go back here for a second. So yeah, this is what I'm looking like on the YouTube world, y'all. Let me show you my main screen. Yeah, yo, boy out here like that, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to catch me, you can catch me on YouTube this way, or you can catch me over here this way. I got my phone up to be able to do this at the same time. What's happening? How y'all doing? Natural Instinct, loved by many, hated by most. How you doing? Let me say I gotta say what's up to the fam, because nobody follows me on YouTube any goddamn way right now. So, Diamond Princess, what's up? I didn't see you up in here. Your energy is so mesmerizing. What's up with you, Diamond Princess? I'm just not seeing all these. I just love you, Sarah. Love you too, Diamond Princess. I'm just not seeing all this. So I didn't see because I'm gonna be going in on the YouTube, y'all. But I will be simultaneously doing this because as I do this, they can see what I'm doing over there too in the YouTube world, as you can see, and y'all can see it from here. You just don't get to see it, with all the professionality and things that's going on. But I got to continue with the lesson here real quick because your boy is doing this for the long form content. So we've established. What have we established? We've established that you have an area called Guale. And there's many references, just so I can show y'all real quick. There's many references to this. Here's one talking about San Miguel de Guadalupe, Lucas Vasquez de Alian, basically the same story. You know what I'm saying? And it talks about African slaves up in there. They want to keep throwing it up in there, but it is what it is. And really, there's a video that I can show y'all that would actually debunk that, but I can't get my video audio to play at the same time to where I can hear it. So I can't do that. I'm gonna figure that out eventually. You know what? I'll have to probably play it through my phone, and it just have to come through the mic and kind of be ghetto with it. But either way, but you also have references to Guadalupe right here. And as you can see, it says the name is derived from the Guale tribe. Now, this is one of the, let me change this for the people. Now, this is one of the first references that I saw past the other ones that said that the name Guadalupe was derived from Guale. Now, I knew that because we had already read the letter of Hernando de Soto, which said that, which would be the primary source. Anybody else that's not referencing that from that point is just omitting information in a sense. They feel like you don't need to know it was called Guale. But why don't you need to know it was called Guale? Why would they be erasing the Guale name? Well, because the Guale Indians were the black Indians, which were the Geechees, which were the Yuchis, which were Guale was a language, not necessarily an Indian tribe. So technically, it was the language that possibly the Yuchis spoke. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm just throwing that out there real quick. So, but that's why. So we know and we have established that. So let's go out. Let's get out of this. Let's get up out of here. So now we're going to go back to some of my Gullah receipts here. So again, this was that same area, Guale, the Geechee River. Now let's look at another receipt on the Ogeechee River from the website of the Ogeechee River. It will tell you paleo societies arrived in the area of the Ogeechee River around 11,500 years ago, and the river was settled for several centuries by the Mississippians and the Yuchis Indians prior to the European arrival. Now, one thing to note is that there was no Mississippian Indians. That's kind of another term they kind of tossing up. But there was a Mississippi, but it was called something different. It was really pronounced Mishka Sipukani or something like that. Really, let me pull up a resource, a reference on that, because I don't like to just say it. Mishka, how does it spell? Mishka. It might. I wonder if it's in my phone. SIPP. It might be in my phone. It was one. I just thought about the reference to it. Oh, I got my phone right here, still handy with me. Hold on. Hold up. Let me search on this real quick. Now here's one reference to it by a canvasser. Let me send it over to my iPad. This is a reference to it from a canvasser. I thought I had a second. I do have a second reference. Yep. This is in a book, Mishka Sipukani Huchada or some shit. Mishka Sipukani, a river. Yep. Let me send that, because that's a nice little. Whoops, not this one, not that one. That's a nice little receipt here. Okay, let me show you. So let me get up out of here. So again, and not that I'm knocking the Mississippians at all. I just, the name is just a little bit different, and it referred to a river, not necessarily an area, but the people who settled along the area, they would call them Mississippians, but technically they Shatta, they Yuchis, they Chickasaw, they other stuff. Okay, so as we pull into here, now this is a. I wish I had the what you call it, but as you can see here, the mighty river let me see if I can highlight it. The mighty water. Let me switch this up for my people over here on the YouTube world. On the mighty water, okay, we'll just start at the top and I'll just read the three sentences, but you can see it. The mighty water, Mishkasipukani, Mississippi. It says the Chickasaws and Choctaws, ruled by two brothers, Choctaw and Chickasaw, camped for the night on the mighty water Misha. Actually, we've got a lot of girls named Misha when you think about it. Misha Sepakani, or Mississippi, after debating the question as to whether they should journey further, and a vote was taken. So this is one reference from a canvasser that was doing historic canvassing in the area that I found in some library. But now this is a reference inside of a book that I have found. The name of the book is called The History of the Choctaws, Chickasaws, and the Natchez Indians. I think that book was written sometime in the 1800s. And as you can see here, we have a reference to the right here. Oh, let me highlight it. Appreciate that. The Misha Sipokani Huchacha. Okay. And it says a river whose age is beyond computation. Now that's crazy. That's crazy. I hadn't read that in a while. But we know that they're talking about the Mississippi River. They're talking about the Mishkasipukani River, okay? That's the real word for it, but we can go by the Mississippians. But even then, you can call it Mississippians, but that's just calling it a bunch of rivers whose age is beyond computation. Technically, we should go by the Choctaws, Chickasaws, and the Natchez, because that's who was there, as well as some other tribes as well, you know. And what other tribes would there possibly be? Well, I mean, there's many other tribes that was in that area around that time. So we're going to get back to talking about the Gullah part. We're going to go back to Gullah because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because I can keep going down that rabbit hole. I ain't even going to lie to you. We can go down that rabbit hole. But we're talking about how Gullahs are not Geechees, how Geechees are not Gullahs, and so forth. Now, I've started talking about these Guale, people in the Guale area. Now, we know that the Geechee, of course, now we know for sure that the Ogeechee River is where the name the Geechees come from. So you really don't have to question, where does the Geechee in Ogeechee come from? Well, I don't know. Could it be the river that's been there for what did they say? 11,500 years ago when the Yuchis settled there? I think that's where the Geechee part came from. Okay? So that was my first thing that I wanted to kind of establish to you. But also, there is a preservation still today called the Guale Preserve. If you go and look on the map in the area, you will have and see a Guale Preserve still to this day. So we know that it's not just something completely gone. It's something that is definitely there, so much so that they've preserved a little portion of it. I thought I had the little sign for it. It might be in my phone, but either way, and we'll get back to who that weird white lady and black dude is. But so we've established that, and this is a picture of what some of those Yuchi Indians who were Geechee people look like. Now, you know, notice the hairstyles. Okay, notice the skin color, copper color. Okay, you ain't gotta ask too many questions. Also notice the red and blue only bottoms. They got red and blue bottoms. Okay, now this was supposedly done in 1736. This would be a primary source account from somebody who illustrated this at the time. Now, the reason why I said about the red and blue, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but all the Indians wore red, white, and blue and gold. Okay, red, white, blue, and gold. Sometimes they'll toss in green. Well, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I'm just saying I did a video on that, and now I have to do a live stream on that one day as well. But we've established now that the Geechee people, I have to do this for my YouTube, y'all. The Geechee people we have established have a connection to the old Geechee River, which is where the Yuchis people had settled over 11,500 years ago. Okay, so now let's establish where the hell the Gullah come from. Okay, we ain't got to worry about Geechee. Call yourself a Geechee. You Geechee. You can say you Geechee. You can say you Yuchis. I wouldn't call myself Guale. Guale was technically what they say a language, not necessarily a tribe. But so possibly the Guale Indians spoke, the Yuchi Indians possibly spoke Guale. And this is where I believe the distortion of Guale comes from, or is going towards, when you talk about Gullah. And the only reason why I say this is because it has a similar, like the lettering kind of starts out Gullahh, but Guale. Definitely different, but you get where I'm going with it. Just like how Chata is different from Choctaw, but it doesn't matter. They still gonna, call it what it is. They change whatever letters the hell they want to. And Gullah is gonna be a language also, but they don't really tell you that at first. Okay, and you know what? I have pulled up some sources like this right here, but we're not going to be able to hear it. You all can probably hear it. Hold up. You all can hear it in YouTube land, but us in TikTok land and here right in front of me, I can't hear it. But what I want to establish or show you is that you had these series of books or things that came out like Animal Tales Told in the Gullah dialect. And when you listen to this, I'm going to play a little bit for the YouTube world and let them hear what this dude sounds like.
Coattailing the mash. But rabbit number folks may live a foot distance from one there and hardly does see one there.
Quick little taste.
But rabbit gone to a fox house one.
So what you all would have heard is some high-pitched dude, and he's saying, "But rabbit, that with the pig and the cum and the rabbit, blah blah blah," and it really actually spells it out here on the. Let me see if I can get closer. Yeah, I can get closer. It really actually spells out how they try to talk here. Contel in the Mash. That's the name of one of the smash box office hits on the album. But rabbit and but wolf go hunting. So the rabbit and the wolf go hunting. But instead of saying the, they say buh. Okay? So this is in 1949. Now, I'm going to go prior to this. But this is in 1949. They're making fun of the Gullah language. Notice the word Gullah is there, but the word Geechee is not. Okay? Geechee is not there. Because you don't get the words Gullah and Geechee combined until around this time, until around the 1940s and 50s. But even then, during this time, they hadn't, at least during his album, Dat Cat Dum Pizen, Long Bill the Good Ting. No, okay. You might think that because later on you get this dude right here called Lorenzo, the weirdo Lorenzo Turner, who tries to say, hey man, there's some Africanisms in this. I think I hear some African words in the way that these people speak. We're going to come back to him, but that's, they were making fun of how these people speak. And that's where we're going to establish what is Gullah. Now, Gullah at first was supposed to mean Gullah Negroes when you go to the newspaper. Now, even this is iffy. Okay, let me pull this up for people. Even this is iffy because let me show you. When you search the term Gullah in the newspapers and look after the years, look prior to the years of 1939, because everything else after that is propaganda. Okay, to be honest with you. And then sort it by the oldest first that come up. So we're looking at all the oldest newspapers that talk about the word Gullah ever in the newspaper, at least up until like the 1700s or so, which is about where we want to be, right? And so you see first a couple of things talking about fellow in the Gullah country. And then all of a sudden you see, let me see. But first of all, I want y'all to notice Gullah is used by itself. Gullah is not used in conjunction with Geechee. And I'm going to also show you in the newspapers how Geechee was also not used with Gullah at all the way for almost 100+ years. Neither one was used together. Whose bright idea said, you know what? I think these peoples is Gullah Geechees. I'm going to show you whose bright-eyed, dumbass ideas that was here shortly in a little while. But when you look at stuff like this, here goes something right here, all right? In 1775, okay, it says, a new Negro fellow of the Gullah country says his name is Tom. His name is Tom? Where did he get that from? His slave master? Is that what you're going to tell us? Anyway, but cannot tell me his masters suppose it to be a runaway a long time. He is about 5 feet 6 inches, about 30 years of age, and his country marks upon both his arms, branded on his left arm with a flower day something, brought with him old Negro cloth jacket, taken up in the woods 30 miles from town. So they took up some dude, they called him a Negro from the Gullah country. And even down here, you got a Negro wench from the Guinea country. How do you know where they from? Think about this. See, some people would just take this and go with it. See, it's in the newspapers. They talking about Gullahs. It's a proof. That's your proof. He was from Angola. That's where the Gullahs came from, right? How you pick up a nigga out of the woods and you just knew he was from Gullah country? Yeah. You look like you from the Gullah part of West Africa. Now, I don't have the internet, cell phones. I don't have even regular phones. I don't have radio at this time. Really, we just kind of going off of voyages and books that niggas maybe wrote or something and little illustrations. And I probably never went and been over there to Gullah, Angola, or anywhere in that motherfucking area. But you look like you from Gullah country. I done got you out here in the goddamn woods, all right? And this lady right here, this Negro wench, and this Negro wench down here, oh yeah, she look like she from the Guinea country. They were so good back then at being able to distinguish Africans. So much so that nobody documented that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody put it on my... these people are Guinea over here. These people are... Come on now. Don't play with me. But you don't know how much propaganda is also in the newspapers. Because let's keep going. Because I also want to show you what was really funny to me. Okay, let me move this like this. Okay, so when you keep going, you will end up on this right here, where it says a cargo will start. I'll open it up in January 27th, 1806, and maybe they just ran the same article for a hella months, but you have one article saying a prime cargo of Gullah Negroes and Congo Negroes, basically, that showed up here to the shores. 418 to be exact, okay? 418 according to them. Let's see, cargo to ship consistent 418 will commence this day 27. Produce will be taken in payment at the market for terms. Agent, I was trying to see if they talked about what kind. Oh, yeah. The sale of the schooner cargo of 110 prime Negroes will commence on the board. So this is another one, but this was talking about Congo Negroes, right? I was trying to see the type of vessel, the type of boat. You got a schooner there. Now, a schooner, I don't want to get too far off in the woods because I want to stick on the Gullah Geechee topic. Schooner boat weight capacity. Schooners are very small. Okay? Let me show you what a schooner is. Depends on the size of the schooner too. But schooner boat, I don't know why it didn't show up from that. Okay, I think this might be it. Hold on. Texas TV. Okay. We're very blah 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 in the United States. Schooner on the description. Come on now. Come on. Let me just see if I got the damn. I did a what you call it on it here. Let me just search schooner and see if I got the receipts in here, or they're probably in my phone. They're probably in my phone. Because technically that right there is a schooner. That's the Clotilda. The Clotilda, the supposed slave ship boat that got lost, or they came here way late and then they set it on fire and all this other dumbass shit. Let me look at my phone real quick also to see if I got the weight capacities already saved for those schooners. But as you can tell, the schooners are not that big. Okay? Damn. I don't know what I did with it. And they typically would pull up pretty damn easy. Okay, here it is. Schooner. A Briggs. Schooner. Okay. I don't know why I gotta do it this way. Let me send this to my iPad. Let me send this to the iPad. But that's a schooner right there. And that's how they say they had the people down there naked in the bottom, right? You don't even see where no food and everything at, and they just drug their ass all the way over here. And a few white folks at the top, you know what I'm saying? And they just drug their ass on over here for two to 3 months across the horrible seas, right? But let me show you what it says the weight capacities on the schooner boats are. Okay, let me get out of that. All right. The average capacity of a schooner it can hold is 11 people. Okay. It can accommodate up to 42 passengers. That's the average. Now, this motherfucker said they had, what did they say they crammed? They said they crammed in, 110 of them niggas? Let's go back. Let's go back. How many people was on said boat? 110 prime. Okay, prime and ready, okay, to serve. 110 came in on a schooner, but it accommodates about 42. Now, you can sometimes get a larger capacity. Not really. Even their large capacity for where it says tour capacity, but you got tour capacity, which means you can fit more people. You know, it says about 57 to up to 57 people for special tours. Pirate ships had about 60 men. Passengers, about 68, passenger capacity, 68. So how you cram 110, and through the seas, okay? But, just go with it because it's in the newspaper. But I'll tell you what else was also iffy about this article. Well, first thing I want you to know is to also remember, at this time in 1806, Gullah meant Angola, okay? meant Angola, meaning they said that these people were coming from Angola. Whether they lying or not, which they lying, but they're saying these people come from Angola. The reason why I'm harping on that is because later on, we're going to see the switch up where they're going to be like, these people sound like the people in Sierra Leone. And then you got to start thinking, well, bitch, I thought y'all just told a nigga that motherfucker was from Angola. That's where the word comes from. Gola, Gullah. Y'all was saying these are some Gullah niggas. You know, and all of a sudden you trying to compare them to Sierra Leone. Why is that? Well, later on I'll show you. But Sierra Leoneans spoke English, not because there was some Angolan and United States connection, which there might have been. They might have sent some American Indians that way, but they definitely sent some Black Britons there. It was established for Black Britons, and it said free slaves, which possibly came from America. But regardless of that, they started speaking English in Sierra Leone, whereas in Angola, where they supposedly got these Africans from, they started really speaking Portuguese, because the Portuguese had actually colonized them first in the 1500s. So the national language of Angola right now is Portuguese. But later on, when you have this person named Lorenzo trying to tie these Indians to some Africans, they had to find somebody who spoke English that was broken, because both we were speaking broken English, not we, Geechees were speaking broken English, and the Angolans over there, or not Angolans, I'm sorry, the Sierra Leoneans were speaking broken English. So they was like, you know what? I think I found a match between these niggas. Yeah, you done forced both of them to speak English, nigga. Stupid ass nigga. What the fuck you think you gonna find? You gonna think you gonna find perfect English amongst them? No. Anyways. So the other thing that I find odd about this article, as I get off my little soapbox, is the article showed up every day, or if not most days. You see that same article, and the reason why I know it's the same article, when you click it, it says the same 418 niggas. And the article just was kept running. At first I was like, man, that's a whole lot of them. But I was like, no, that's the same article. It's the same damn article. The article kept running all the way till damn near April. All the way till April. All the way till April. Same one. Watch, I'll click on it. Just so you don't think I'm bullshit. How many niggas is in there? 418 niggas. Same shit. On the 27th day. All right? I said, oh, really? Let's go back. I said, so it's not a whole, it really is not a lot of boats that hit the shores, supposedly. It was one that hit the shore, supposedly, with 418 niggas. That's well over capacity of most of the boats back in that day, of course. So they should have said multiple ships, but they didn't tell you what type of ship these ones came on. They told you, they told us the other one below it that came from the Congo was a schooner for the 110. Okay, and that was over capacity, damn near twice the capacity. Where you put the food? Where the water? Where they shitting? Where they pissing? You letting them out? How many people you got to contain 110 niggas on that small ass boat? Okay, whatever, man. So we're going to go past this. But as we get from this, Gullah at this time, according to white folks, what they were trying to establish was that they were calling you a Gullah Negro. You was and they could do that to any Indian of black liquorship. That's what I wanted to establish too with that other article that was way up here that said, hey, we found a nigga in the woods and he looked like he from the Gullah country. Oh, okay, man, you pretty good on phenotypes out in this bitch. Okay, do you have a book of phenotypes handy to you? You just pull that bitch out, start flipping it. Yeah, you're not a guinea, and you ain't one of them damn I don't know what else is over there. Gambians. You a goddamn Gullah. Okay, so we're gonna get away from the Gullah talk. Well, we stand on the Gullah topic, but I want you to really know that Gullah was Angola, and that's going to be important. So now we're going to look at other Gullah newspaper clippings that was Gullah not being used. Now we saw this one. Gullah not being used with Geechee. So you have here another one where it says the name of some dude, no, the lower part of the King Street, known by the name of Gullah Town, formerly a property of Miss Varndale's. So they're calling the area Gullah Town. At first, I didn't know what to think of this. Let me switch this for the folks. At first, I didn't know what to think about this, but now that I know that they're using it as like a euphemism in a sense. Look at that Gullah Town over there. You know, that's known as Gullah Town. That's what we call it. When you see a group of niggas living and chilling, oh yeah, what's up everybody on the let me do my little TikTok break because TikTok done, I done got some followers up in here. So I want y'all to I just want y'all to see that I'm live right now. Your boy live right now on simulcast, and that's why I'm not looking down. I'm simulcasting today. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. The professionality of the look that y'all ain't getting, unfortunately, because I'm doing it for the YouTube folks. But that's what your boy look like. You know what I'm saying? I like my new name down at the bottom right, Samuel Halikahio. Back before I used to say Chef Bay, took that shit off. But you know what I'm saying? This is what I'm doing right now, as you can see, ain't nobody watching me but y'all on TikTok world, so I appreciate y'all. Fuck YouTube. But I'm doing this for the long form content for those who might watch the shit afterwards. So that's why I'm doing the simulcast. But I really do it for y'all because, my people on YouTube, my people from TikTok be showing up. But a lot of y'all know about this, but I'm doing this because I definitely got to put out something for the masses about this Gullah topic. Okay, the end all be all damn near video. But I want to say that, but man, there's some maybe I can play them on my phone. There's some videos I would love to play during this. So anyway, let's go back to this. So Gullah Town, they're talking about Gullah. There's the Gullah Negroes that I have found, right? They're talking about Gullah, but they're calling people that Gullah Jack. And this is a story wrote by a YT person called Gullah Jack. Let me switch this for the folks. Called Gullah Jack. And they talk about this man who's got superhuman strength, superhuman nigger strength, he can knock you out in one hit. Is this it? Let's see. Gullah Jack was considered invincible. Yeah, here it is. Was considered invincible. He could not be hurt nor killed unalive by any means. I gotta do that TikTok friendly language, y'all. But a blow from him would do instant execution if you get hit. One, you can't unalive him, but if he hits you, it's over. One hit, and he's Mike Tyson Joe bitch ass. You know what I mean? So as you can see, this is just a story. They talk about foul dress, blah blah blah, but Gullah is being used without Geechee, as well as it's being used by white folks instead of black Indians or black folks, lookership, so-called, right? So let's go to another article. You got other articles, okay? But look at this one. Now this one added to the proof that Gullah meant Angola when I found it. Not to a degree. We know what it does. It says it in a damn word, but it says right here, confession and subsequent testimony went to implicate a corpse of Gullah or Angola Negroes that had been organized under the command of the Chief Gullah Jack. Now, they're still talking about Gullah Jack. It's still a fake story. Either way, but even though they're talking about a fake story, they're still mentioning Gullah, meaning Angola, okay? And we also saw how they say here's some Gullahs from prime Angola country earlier, even though that was likely a fake article. But either way, it's in there. What they're doing is establishing this word in the lexicon. The only reason why this word Gullah exists is because they talking shit about us and calling niggas Angolans. Okay, that's the only reason why the word exists, is what I'm mostly establishing to you with these particular facts. Okay, and you have several different ones of these where they talk about Gullah country, blah blah blah, Negroes and immigrate to a place where Negroes are citizens and take up their abode in the Gullah country. Okay, on the same soil as classic Africa. Well, we know that they're talking about Angola, still talking shit. As you can see, it's a white man. This is a white man's country. Oh, that's instant propaganda. Anything that starts off saying some shit like this, propaganda. Okay? But I'm going to read it and see what the hell they talking about so you get in the mind of who this propagandist is that's writing this right now. So it's like, okay, people who have disdain are over here calling people Gulla and saying, oh, go back to your Gullah country, right? So, but you're not seeing the word Geechee at all with this. Now we're going to get into, sorry, y'all. Now we're going to get into them talking about the language of the people. So up until this point, now this is, what year is this one? This is 1858. So up before we was looking at stuff from like 1808, 1820. I think some of those articles was in the 1700s. The ones that talked about, no, it was 1806 or something like that. Yeah, you know what? It was 1800. Was that 1806? Fuck out of here. Hold up. Wow. You know why this is funny to me? Because I said what? I said they ran this article multiple times, right? And the same thing, like it's propaganda, right? Let me pull this over like this. They ran this article multiple times, but they ran it in 1806. You know what's funny about 1806 that I just thought about? I thought it was 1807. I guess it's 1808. The importation of slaves was banned very close to that time. Y'all skirted by my little theory by a couple years. Goddamn. I'm about to say it sounds like, boy, they was playing around with the propaganda, trying to get it all printed up and saying, hey man, we have more proof in the papers that niggas was being brought over here from Africa for somebody to institute this ban. And they was talking about instituting the ban well before they actually instituted the ban, because I do remember seeing it in some literature I read in the late 1700s, but I can't remember what that was. But anyway, let me get off that. Anyway, so let's go back to, so what we're establishing or looking at now is somebody in the newspaper now talking about Gullah Sam, still a white person, right? But they're talking about them, making fun of the way that they talk. This is one of the first references that I started realizing they're making fun of the way these people talk. I mean, I realize it instantly when I read it, but as I go along and as we go along from this point, so let's just kind of reference what we have established for the YouTube world real quick. What we've established so far is that Geechee was its own thing. And we're going to even further establish it with some newspaper clippings too. But Geechee was its own thing without Gullah for over 11,500 years when the people first settled at the Old Geechee River, the Yuchis Indians, at the river and the Mishkashipunani, or the Mississippian people. And basically, they were the Old Geechee people. They had a language that was spoken in that area called Guale. That area was known as the Guale area, where the Yuchis Indians by the Geechee River had been. Now those people call themselves Geechee today, and we know that's because of the Geechee River. Okay, so now we've pivoted to Gullah, and we're figuring out where Gullah comes from. Both things are separated. Now, as we go into this Gullah shit, let me flip this back. It went from people talking about, hey, it's just a bunch of Angolan people, come get your slaves, to listen to how these people talk. Okay, so now you got, how are they making fun of it? It says, that's him. Why you talk N-word? And as you see, when you see words like that in here, Nigger, you know you're dealing with propaganda. Again, in the newspapers, you should not take this as 100% value that these niggas was telling all kind of truth or any kind of anything. Okay, they have definite disdain. a little physical Negro girl, blah, 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 the Gullah Sam, okay, all right, nigga. You on your little talking shit horse. But as you can see, that's him. It says, he been come. Let me pull it. He been come, responded the girl or whatever, and it says, sure, he been come inty. I see him with he dirty gray jacket like dirt on a crow wing. And no see him. So they're trying, it's a broken English that they're trying to reproduce and they're making fun of in the newspaper while calling you a nigga, okay, at the same time. So this is historically. What's up, Nikki? I'm just seeing you down there looking down. What's happening with y'all? Doctor, remember word of mouth travels slower. 10 million, you still hitting on something. Blaze Hayes, what's happening? Sorry, y'all, had to do a quick TikTok break. YouTube, ain't nobody watching me live anyway on that day. Empress, it could be one or two people. So they are African. No, they're not African. No. These are people, they're making fun of people, saying that they're Africans. But these could be, like I said, when they grabbed this dude out the woods and they said, we done found the Gullah. How do you know you found the Gullah? Was he speaking the Gullah language from Angola? Was he speaking Portuguese? Do you know, physical phenotypes? These people just be lying. That's all it is. Mike Tyson of that type. Mike Tyson's a Geechee. You do. It needs to be talked about more. I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming in like always and supporting, Nikki. That way is documented. All right, everybody else is cool. Okay. Said I'm glad I caught you live. I know you be missing me sometimes. Lewis and Clark Expedition 1804. Lewis and Clark Expedition Day 1806. You know what? I need to read their expedition, to be honest with you. I haven't read their expedition. That would be something to get towards. So as we go back, sorry YouTube world, I'm back on the long form. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go back and as we're establishing, and I'm just gonna breeze through more of these. You're gonna see. Just notice you always see the word Gullah. You do not see it with Geechee. And they talk about the Gullah dialect. A person spoke the Gullah dialect. Let me pull this up for the folks. And he spoke that Gullah dialect. Again, now they're pivoting to these people and how they speak. But we know what Gullah is. Gullah was Angola. So they should be speaking a Portuguese dialect, right? Because the Portuguese had been there since the early 1500s. So if they were shipping niggas over here from the 1700s, that's when the bulk of the niggas came. And 1806 supposedly is when that one boat got here with 418 niggas, right? Then these niggas should have at least 250 years of goddamn Portuguese influence in their dialect. Or y'all playing with me, okay? Either that or you're playing with me. And also, you never referred to their dialect. You just called them Gullahs prior to this. Now, all of a sudden, you keep talking about these people's dialect and calling it Gullah. Again, making fun of the people. Oh, man, these Gullahs don't know how to talk. No, these Indians don't feel like talking the way you fucking talk. Okay, let's keep going. So you got one right here, even more, talking about, there goes another Gullah N-word. So we know the sentiment these people had, right? When they was writing these. So now I want to get to, and we got plenty of those. As you can see, I got plenty of these. And it's just Gullah, 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 Gullah talk, Gullah nigga, the Gullah, whatever, Gullah English. And people, there's lots of stories, to be honest. I'd be here forever to try to go over each of these stories. Because there's this one about this lady. She was I guess she wasn't an actress, but she was famous, and they was like, oh, she's so amazing, and the way she spoke the Gullah language was so divine and such a tearful. Oh, like, get the fuck out of here, man. These people are crazy. So what I was trying to get to is, one of the first times you start seeing Gullah and Geechee mentioned together in the newspapers around 1937. Okay? And even then they say Gullah of Geechee. So they're talking about niggas in a certain area, in the Geechee area, and they're calling them Gullahs. They're not saying they're Gullah Geechee, but at that time they was actually talking about the father spoke. As you can see, the father spoke likely they're talking about the Gullah language dialect of the Geechees. And then in 1946, you start to see it. Okay, Gullah Geechee together. Sorry, y'all. Gullah Geechee together, but even here there's a comma. Committees started speaking proudly in the Gullah, Geechee, Doc, whatever, Piglet. And I had to pull that up, but these are stuff that I had found in the newspapers and did my little screenshots. As you can see, oh, there it is. Speaking loudly in the Gullah Geechee double talk and Pig Latin with the result of no unmistakable impression and was left and blah, 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 blah. Okay? But they're just now starting to put the two together. Now you got to wonder, if the tribe existed for all this time and it's like, hey, blah, 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 and they were known this since even slavery times of 1700 when these niggas came over, how come y'all just now getting to the words Gullah Geechee together? You know? How come you just now putting that together? Well, they're starting to do it. This is around the time of corruption. And I'll show you. Now, this is 1948. Again, 1936 is when we first seen it. Well, I didn't show y'all this first, but there was a book that had came out in 1922 that likely influenced some of this a little bit later shit in 1938 and 1948 by Mr. Ambrose Gonzalez, called The Gullah Stories of the Carolina Coast. Notice he didn't say the Gullah Geechee stories of the Carolina Coast, but what he did do was tie Gullah to a certain area, the Carolina Coast. Now you have newspapers talking about people in that area, the Geechee area being Gullah. Where did they get it from? They wasn't talking about that prior. Gullah meant Angolan Negroes, and that could have been niggas that they found anywhere on this fucking continent that they called that. Now, a lot of times they was talking about some people down in the South, and they did talk about it like that. But I want to say it was in multi-states. I don't want to say it was just this particular region, but there was some in this particular region that they said this. But then you get this dude Ambrose that come out with this book, and also let's see who Ambrose Gonzalez looks like, what he looks like. Ambrose Gonzalez. That's your dude right there. Yeah, he's the expert on the Gullahs. Okay? And it looks like he just wrote one book in his whole life, damn near. Is that the only book this nigga wrote? Let's see. If that's the only book he wrote, you goddamn know he was a propagandist, okay? He just, I just feel compelled that I need to write this book about these Gullahs. I don't care about shit else. I'm not really a writer like that. Okay. 1922, that was one of his first books. Then he got The Captain, Stories of the Black Border, with Aesop along the Black Border. South Carolina, it looks like he's a South Carolina liar. Okay, that's really what it looks like. But go with it. This dude has wrote a book, so you have to go with it, right? It's in a book. So let's pull up said book. When you go even look into some of this book, man, I mean, most of this shit is just a bunch of bullshit. To be honest, it's mostly stories told like the Gullah shit. Like, it's not really anything, just under the left shoulder of Africa, which just out boldly into the Atlantic as though it to meet the half of the shoulder. It's like, dude, this is really a book of stories, literal stories. And have I read this entire book? No, but I did read something like this one. Look at it. Look, the name of this, My Master. I'm supposed to read this shit, and that's how you start off the name of your motherfucking content. Title for the chapter title. Couldn't even think of what I was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? This is how y'all have. This is why I be telling people you gotta have discernment. And I did read some of this. I just can't remember much. But I knew I wasn't gonna sit through this because when I started reading this, I was like, man, this is a bunch of just like some stories he just kind of made up. It wasn't talking about any. I'd have to go through it, but just it was real idiotic. The Lion of Louisburg. What the hell that's got to do? This is damn near not historic. Okay. That's what I'm getting to. It's not saying some, oh yeah, this is, some paleo information or some, not paleo, whatever that we found, some archaeology we done did over here, some people we talked to over there. Old Barney. I didn't even know the word Barney existed. Let me show this to the motherfucking YouTube world. I didn't even know the word Barney existed. You know what I'm saying? Back then. It's funny. It's damn sure funny. But okay. This book was written, and all of a sudden you got this man tying Gullah, the word Gullah, to the Carolina coast. But when you look up, I think the word is the get word Geechee in here. Let me see. Let me just double check. I done messed up my view here. I'll redo this. Come on. Okay. Let's see if Geechee was in this book. Geechee. Geechee is in the book 0 times. Okay? Hold up. Gotta fix this for my folks. Geechee, hold on, folks. Over here. Geechee. Oh, I put Beecher. My bad. I thought it was in here once or twice. Hold up. Geechee. I didn't, and you know what? I think it corrected me on that. I think it was a spell check that did that. But it's still in there 0 times. No matches were found for Geechee. In the first book about Gullahs, you don't even have the word Geechee in this bitch. Okay? So just because you tied some Gullahs to some South Carolina coast, don't mean the Geechees are those people you're talking about. Okay? That's the first thing that you should understand. Said Geechee checking in. What up, Geechee? Louisiana Purchase Creole language. What up, man? Right after. What up, Chief EJ Smoker? He said right after them monkeys got free from the colonies, they whipped the whole history out. Wiped the whole history out. Yeah. And they've been slowly wiping, and it's like they wipe it. They try to wipe it clean, and then they start or start establishing new narratives to cover up the tracks. So you got a book here that people are going off of that really ain't talking about shit, which is another one, which is why I was showing also. That's crazy. They talk about the Mingo, and Mingos are Mingo Indians. These people they be using it. They be using these words, and they know where these words come from. I don't know if he's referencing the Mingo Indians or he's just using it for something else, but that's why I showed this as well. Animal tales told in the Gullah dialect. These people were making fun of people, saying you sound like a Gullah. If you were Gullah, if they told you was Gullah, they was making fun of the way you talked or the way you looked. You a Gullah looking Negro from Angola, you Angolan looking African, and you sound like an African with your African talk, African dialect, which is not true because Angolans have a Portuguese influence, because the Portuguese, which we'll pull that up here shortly, had their way with Angola for the last 500 years, since 1500s. So for these people to come over here and have no Portuguese influence is striking, because when you get to this guy, Lorenzo Turner, he's going to come up and say that these people have, now this is also his, this is also him in the newspaper. This is Lorenzo Turner, and I found him in the newspaper, but this is his book called Africanisms in the Gullah Dialect. Well, even in here, you know what? Does he even say Geechee in here? I had to look that up. I don't remember. Geechee. The word Geechee appears in his book 3 goddamn times. Now, he's the one that's established this whole Gullahs are from Africa. Geechee people are from Africa, and they have these dialects in Gullah, and the Gullah is a reference to Sierra Leone, which is, and there's some videos I really wanted to play, man. I really hate this. Really hate that I can't. I might have to play the videos on my phone. That really kind of sucks. I want the whole quality to be what it's supposed to be here on the YouTube, but it is what it is. But you have Geechee in here only a few times, and let's look at the references. What he talks about. You would think It would be all throughout the book, all right? Let's see. I got to borrow the book first. My lips here. All right. So let's see what one of the references on the Geechee here in his book. The Negro dialect known as Gullah or Geechees. Let me do this way for the folks. The Negro dialect known as Gullah or Geechee. So even here, he wasn't even sure. He was like, he was just, I mean, he's just like, it could be either or. It's these niggas, you know. But he's talking, he calls it Gullah most of the time. Spoken by ex-slaves and their descendants in this part of the region, which extends to the Atlantic. Blah 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 blah. Right. Well, let's see what other reference he has to it. For a probable African origin of the of the word Gullah or Geechee, see chapter 3 and see the map of the area. Now we know where Geechee comes from, the old Geechee River, right? We've established that, but apparently he's established something else. Let's take a look at chapter 3. Let's see what page is it. For a probable African origin of Gullah or Geechee, see chapter 3, see page 3. CP3 for the map of the Gullah area. Let me go to, where's chapter 3? 'Cause I want to see this shit. I remember reading it. Once I get to it, I'll probably remember. Look, he done put a whole African map in here. See, this is Africa. Bitch, we don't give a damn what it look like, okay? Get out of here with that bullshit. But let's see which page chapter 3 is on real quick. I want to see what he says the possible origins. Chapter 3, the West African word Gullah, page 31. Oh, yeah, that was on that page with the names. Whack ass shit. Let's go to page 31 real quick. Okay. Here we go. Words in West African. The West African word in Gullah. Let me make this a little bit larger for them folks. The West African words in Gullah to be listed here. This is chapter 3 start. To be listed here are in 3 groups. Personal names, other words used in conversation. Words heard only in songs, stories, and prayers. Personal names talks about, in order for one to name fully significance, the names of Gullahs have given, as you can tell, he calls them Gullahs. The names of Gullahs was given in their children and desirable first to explain somewhat in detailed method and West African tribes. So he's comparing them to these particular tribes, which none of these tribes have anything to do with Geechee or the references to Geechee. He said they're either the Twee people, the Dahomians, the goddamn Mandingos, these are just the ones he knows. The Yorubas down here, he's comparing us to. Then he compares us to the Igbo, IBO, right? And then it just says the northern tribes of Nigeria, okay? The Avinyumbundus, whatever. And then they start talking about personal names used by the Gullah, by the so-called Gullahs. So what they're saying is these names, and I do remember reading this. Let me make this one page. I do remember reading this because they started talking about names, and then this whole, like almost the next 100 and some odd pages in this book is full of these names that we supposedly, right here, it says Gullah personal names in the West African words. They're saying, hey, these are names that people would call their kids, and these are like the West African words that coincide with them. And I was like, nigga, I ain't never heard nobody name their kid Abba or Abako or Abara or goddamn Abase, Abias, Ababa. That nigga, I ain't never heard of none of no Gullahs call they folks these words. Okay, are they goddamn tripping? But guess what? It keeps going. You see how far this shit keeps going? For pages, most of this book, which is like their staple book that says, you don't know that there's Africanisms and blah, blah, blah. Y'all ever use any of these words? Do Gullahs use words like basi, and call people those words? Bantafo? You ever call your nigga Bantafo? and any of these, and we just in the B's. It literally goes. It literally goes. Watch me stop. We still in this bitch. What did I tell you? Win the K's. Okay? Like when I said this book is bullshit, this book pissed me off because when I sat there and said, you know what, I'm finally about to read this goddamn book. I'm finally about to see what kind of bullshit ass Africanisms this nigga say he got up in here. Okay? And as I scrolled, I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. This book is this filled with fluff. And what you notice with books that are propagandists like books, they fill it up with fluff. Literal fluff. Look how many motherfucking names that have no meaning that I've never seen before in my life, okay, that he's not established in any kind of way that there's some Gullah Geechee out there saying any of these words. But the book is full of that shit, okay? Completely full of it. And I'm not going to keep going. But I'm establishing to you that these people are your main people that are the people who established what a Gullah and a Geechee was. And you got Ambrose right here, Mr. Ambrose Gonzalez. You have Mr. Africanisms, Mr. Lorenzo. Now, what I find also odd about Mr. Whack-ass Lorenzo is in this article right here, it says this. It says, hey, they're talking about Mr. Lorenzo. Before that, Mr. Lorenzo did research at Harvard, Yale, and Michigan universities to examine the mixing of languages. He also studied Negro French Creole, which gave us the African word voodoo in Louisiana, and Negro Portuguese in northern Brazil, which gave us samba. Now, why did I think that that was important? Well, didn't I establish to y'all that Angola, let me just, well, look it up. Angola are the people who Portuguese are the people who colonized Angola. The word Gullah comes from Angola, which means the people they should be talking about should be people who came from Angola, which means these people should have a Portuguese influence, which means this nigga who studied Negro Portuguese, even if he doesn't see the Negro Portuguese influence, he should be asking a question. What should that question be? Well, goddamn, where'd the Portuguese go? Where the Portuguese influence at? You said these are Angolans from Gullah Town? Now, you know what I actually spoke? I actually studied some nigga Portuguese. I actually studied a little bit of that in school. So I should be looking for it as I'm looking at some Gullahs from Angola. But no, that's not. Let's keep going. It says that he found that Gullah and Geechee themselves are names of two Liberian languages. Oh, look, he done, even though it wasn't in the book, okay, now that wasn't in the book. Let me go back to that for the YouTube folks. Now, that wasn't in the book. Remember, we saw where it said Geechee 3 times in the book, okay? And neither time did he say that they were names of two Liberian languages. In fact, let me just double check. I'm just gonna do a search for the word Liberian. Liberian in the book. Liberian is listed 1 time. Let's go to it. And they're just talking about a particular dumbass personal name that nobody used called Gullah. Or really it's talking about Gullah. That's the only reference to it. And it says, okay, I see what they're trying to say. Because he did establish this bullshit. So he's saying that, hey, Gullah comes from the word Gola, which is of a Liberian tribe. But again, they're doing the switcheroo. How do we know? We've already established for over damn near 150 fucking years that these niggas was saying that these niggas was Angolan niggas from Angola. Let's look at the other newspaper article that said it even more specifically. These niggas were Gullah or Angolan niggas. Okay? So all of a sudden, Mr. Lorenzo comes up and says, you know what? No, that's not where it comes from. No, it comes from the Guale tribe. Well, who would know best? The people who supposedly brought them over here on a boat in 1777 or 1806, which was also a bunch of lies, or the nigga that's writing about it in 1948 or 1960 goddamn 9. Okay, he found the truth. He figured it out. That's where they came from. Well, that's where the word comes from. Don't all that other shit about Angola that you saw in the newspapers and people talking about them and saying they from Angola and shit. All that shit. Don't worry about all that. It ain't got nothing to do with all that, okay? It has something to do with this Liberian tribe now. But what's funny with that, we all know Liberia was populated by people who came from, America. But on top of that, they don't still, later on we're going to see how they're going to do the switch up again because they're going to start saying that these people have a Sierra Leone connection. So we have 3 possible fucking whatever you want. These Angolans really are Gullahs from Liberia who have Sierra Leone connections. Okay? And whenever you start saying shit like that, very skillful, energetic woman, skillful, energetic person, Gullah, Liberia, accents and dialects, spoke before road. What are you talking about, Dr. Word? I'm just making sure you're not trolling up in here. You might not be trolling, but I can't understand half the shit you're saying. But anyway, got to keep up with my YouTube audience too, which is nobody. I got way more people over here, my 32s over here on my TikTok. Appreciate y'all coming in. So now we have this. Now what you'll say when you bring these facts to people and talk about these things and be like, so what's up with the Angolan, Liberian, and Sierra Leone connection to the so-called Gullahs? Why they keep changing? They be like, well, they all come from the west coast of Africa. So they all came, let me do this. They all came from the west coast of Africa, right? So they all just mixed in with each other. Well, shouldn't there still be a Portuguese influence in some of them niggas since they came from Angola? And then I guess the Sierra Leones, they got their own. What did the Liberians speak? Who was from the Guale tribe? Okay? They said Guale and Geechess. The Geechess is what they try to say where Geechees comes from. Again, these niggas be lying. Okay? Lying. Let me see if Geechess has showed up in here. They put Kiwi. Who the fuck with me? Geechess. And he has Geechess in here. Look, Geechess. Geechess, name of the Western Sudanic language belonging to the Atlantic group, be Geechess say. Now here they don't say Geechee, but another guy, Opala, starts to refer to the Geechess coming being Geechee. So they just looking for any kind of similar, phonetically similar sounding word to attach to a nigga. There it is right there. You said, what'd you say, Geechee? Yeah, that sounds like Geechee enough to me. That's where it comes from. Yeah, that old Geechee River, I know it's the whole word in there with the letter O in front, but that has nothing to do with it whatsoever, okay? Whatsoever. What it is Geechess and Guale, okay? And that's what and why? Because we said so. There's no proof in here that says that, right? Like if I go back to Guale where it said that in Guale, I hate when it does that. When we go back to that word, like, it doesn't tell you proof. Like, it's just wrote in the book. Let me pull it. It don't tell you why. They just wrote it in there. Go with it, goddamn. This is America, okay? Go with the shit, okay? So, again, we're establishing that Geechee was not used by these people, even the ones in mass who established this shit. They were mostly still saying Gulle. It's not really until you get niggas like that. And really probably a little bit prior to him, but to start solidifying this whole Geechee Gullah thing. And even here is kind of separated. The culture is known as Geechee in Florida, and Georgia and Geechee in Florida, and Georgia and Gullah in the Carolinas. Well, how does they say that? Geechee in Florida. Oh, it's known as Geechee in Florida and Georgia, and Gullah in the Carolinas. So somebody started to change it up. They say so, which is another thing that's funny. Why even here it tries to say that there is two separate things. Now, why would it be two separate? And just because of the states. Down below in Florida and Georgia, they calling them Geechees, but up in the Carolinas, they calling them Gullahs. But you know why that's funny? Because part of Florida and Georgia were where the Spanish colonies were at, where the Indians have moved to. Really, the Yuchis, and as well as some of the probably the Cherokees and Yuchis and up from that area started going south after those Chickamauga wars and some of those other wars that was happening up in Florida and Georgia during that time. I'm sorry, up in the Carolinas. And they ran down to them. They called them runaway slaves, but no, them niggas was getting away from the bullshit that was happening up there in their own land already. Their own land was already the Carolinas. And they got pushed out, some of them. Some of them stayed and assimilated. Really, that's I need to dive even further into that story. But again, even here it's separated. But it's one of those crazy things. People will put it together. Right there, you got it right there. That's where you first start to really see it together. Gullah dash Geechee. Now people keep saying Gullah Geechee, Gullah Geechee, Gullah Geechee. Well, it's not. It's never been the same, and I still don't believe any of them niggas is Gullah. I don't believe the Angolans came over here. You gotta show me proof. And that one article that said 418 niggas came over, even if that was true, even if it was true that 418 niggas came over on this boat, that doesn't dilute the thousands and thousands and thousands of Indians that was already in the area. That's just like 418 niggas have babies with Mexicans today. Are we gonna have to absorb the word Mexicans now? You know what I'm saying? And none of that shit makes sense. But these are your people who start to solidify the Gullah and the Geechee narrative together. And again, it has never been together. Now, before I do this, I want to just solidify with some Geechee newspaper clippings that I was going to show how Geechee itself was used by itself in the newspaper for over 100 plus years before somebody decided to say, hey man, y'all some Gullahs. So that's not by itself. Hold up. It might be on my phone. But I'm gonna go to the newspapers because I think I already had some pulled up. Because when you do a search, for those who see here, when you do a search, I can't move my thing here. Hold on, y'all. Let me look at that. Okay, bet that. When you do a search for Geechee, look for the years prior to 1931, and look for the oldest. You start seeing people calling Geechee declared whatever. This is 1920. Hold on, let me sort this by the oldest. Sort by oldest. 1733. We got a reference to a Geechee without the word Gullah. That right there alone is proof that the word was used by itself without the word Gullah. Oh, that one's talking about the Ogeechee, actually. The Ogeechee River. Let me take that back. Let's go back to the... Come on now. Don't do it. Hold on. Oldest. Let's see. Okay, Geechee. That's talking about the Ogeechee. That's talking about the Ogeechee. The Ogeechee. Geechee. It might be talking about Ogeechee. Geechee. That says the Ogeechee River, and it talks about some Negroes. Still talking about that river. JMM Geechee, Ogeechee. I may have to pull it up on my phone because I have several of them and I don't want to go through all of these. The Ogeechee Canal, Geechee River. Yeah, let me just pull it up on my phone and send it over there real fast. Look at that. I got a whopping 2 people watching me on YouTube. Ain't that something? YouTube don't give a damn about your about your success. Let me pull it up. Geechee. I know I got several of them in my phone. Here they go. Let me just highlight and send a bunch of these over real fast to the iPad net. Okay. Let's go airdrop. Airdrop for the win. All right. So as you can see here, this is 1876. Massa Boss, you think I see a Geechee nigger? Okay. So that's not a white, that's a white T-folk obviously writing that. But they talking about a Geechee, right? Not a Gullah. I ain't no Geechee coon, okay, in 1876. Geechee. A letter was received by the police this week stating that the report of Geechee Charlie's arrest, Geechee Charlie, they called the man Geechee Charlie. It's a black dude, and they called him Geechee Charlie. As you can see, a Negro pal of Geechee, you know what I'm saying? That's 1895. Geechee Charlie, talking about Geechee Charlie, okay, arrested on Wednesday. We're talking about people. He was a Geechee nigga, okay? We talking about people labeling themselves as a Geechee, not a Gullah, okay? This was, and people calling them Geechee. Could be learned was Geechee, okay? Another one here, same thing. Another one here, they're talking about Geechee niggers, right? I can't keep saying that on TikTok. Right here, Joe, Geechee Joe, a Negro boy, about 14 years of age. It said Geechee, right? Negro unalived in self-defense. He's known by Big Geechee is his name. He's known by Big Geechee, okay? Like Big Meechie, right? Geechee buried by the count, right? So as we're establishing these people, when we saw Gullah in the newspaper, it wasn't you saw it referred to a person, but it was usually referred to a fictional person. Gullah Jack and Gullah Sam that white T folks came up with. And it was a story about these people, right? That's why I established that, oh, the people that they're talking about, Gullah Sam, it says he can unalive you with one punch and he was invincible. I was showing you that was a bunch of propaganda. But these people right here are real Geechee folks who was getting in trouble or whatever was in the newspaper, right? Big Geechee. They wanted to be called Geechee. Geechee or Ogeechee oyster farmers, right? That's another reference, a good reference, that the Geechees are the people by the Ogeechee goddamn river, okay? As we can obviously know and tell, which makes sense. Geechee, Ogeechee, right? That's another one. That they know that they're talking about the Ogeechee people, okay, by the Geechee. Not Kesey, Mr. Dumbass Opala, okay? Here's some more. Geechee declared whatever. And so, as you can see, several references show you easily that these people call themselves Geechee, okay? Without Gullah. So, what have we established during this live stream? We've established that Gullah, first of all, we've established that Geechee were Yuchis Indians. And let me pull them up again. That Geechee, let me get up out of here. Over here. Geechee are the Yuchis Indians. The Yuchis also show where their area is. I thought they was on this map, but typically they're over in this area. By the Yamasi, Catawba, all that. I thought they had, Yuchi, right there. Some of those right there, but we know the Geechee is over here too. But this is depends on at what point, because they've been moving, and really I heard that they come from the Chickasaws and Choctaws and migrated that way. But that's a whole nother story. My bad. Let me show this to the whatever. But what we've established is that the Yuchi Indians who spoke the Guale language and lived by the Ogeechee River, and the word Geechee would have came from the Ogeechee River, which were by Yuchi Indians who had been there since over 11,500 years ago. Okay, 11,500 years ago. In relation to the Utes, no, and I think the Utes are more on the west than the east, but I'm not 100% sure. What's up, Judah Halia? I ain't never seen you over here. Typically see you on the Twitter side of the game. What's happening with you? But yeah, so we've established that the Yuchis and the word Geechee definitely comes from here. We also established that people called themselves, even recently, Geechees. And yeah, UT's like Utah. I want to say it's kind of like in that area. But I haven't done a lot of studying on the Utes. But I did see some, black leadership, some of our people who are tied to those people. And there was this one guy who actually had a book, and it was an amazing book showing those Indians. And one of them showed one of them fake Indians, but we noticed that he was dressed up in a Southern Confederate uniform, and you got to wonder, why is he wearing a Confederate uniform? Well, even though we were the Confederates, the original ones, but he was wearing them like the Yuchis gave it to him, type thing, conspiring with them folks. But anyway, but we've established that the Geechees are the Yuchis who were in the area of the Ogeechee River, and the word Geechee has to come from there because it only makes sense. It's the goddamn same word, right? And we established that the word Gullah, and that's another person who helped to bring Gullah to the masses, but I haven't read her book. Actually, I think I skimmed through it, but I can't remember. I can't remember. But we've established that. We've also established that the we established that Gullah was used by itself, and it meant Angola Negroes at one point. Now they're trying to say the word comes from Liberia, but then they said that the Sierra Leone connections, which I never did get to because there's videos that I got to play for that, and right now I can't play the video and hear it, so I'll probably have to do some other one. I'm probably going to make an actual real professional thing with this, so that way I can actually put all the stuff in there, whatever. But I did want to make a long form video about this Gullah stuff, so that way a lot of people can get a whole lot of receipts within one video. But we established that Gullah was utilized well before it was added with Geechee, and it was used to make fun of you, make fun of the way you speak, where you came from, all that, all the way up until somebody started to say, hey, let's tie these together in the 1940s and 50s, and they started putting money behind it, people like this weirdo right here, and now it helps to solidify, especially that he poured millions of dollars into it, a $10 million grant to further the propaganda. You know what I'm saying? People will propagandize your ass for part of that $10 million, easy. Okay, unfortunately, people like Queen, whether it be Queen Quet or whoever the hell else out there, they will propagandize your ass for part of this motherfucking 10 mil. Yes, we are the Gola niggas. Yes. Please treat us accordingly. Okay. And so on and so forth, man. So, and I there's other things that I could show, but most of those are videos. But a lot of these receipts should really help to establish to you, especially after looking in the books. We done looked at the book of Ambrose Gonzalez from 1922. It didn't even say the word Geechee in that bitch. And then we looked at the book from goddamn Lorenzo Turner, and it didn't even say Geechee in that bitch but 3 times, and didn't really give much of a reference to it at much of a point. And then he also changing up what Gullah meant. Talk about it was the Gullah tribe. Whole time we done already seen many times that they said it was from Angola. So, well, how come y'all niggas can't? Where did you get the information from? Where did you find that at, Mr. Turner? Okay, but you know, again, it's propaganda. When you look up Mr. Turner's information, he was a Mason. You know, not to say that Masons are all bad, but many Masons can be corruptible. Okay, easily corruptible. You know, especially when you're gonna throw some money their way. Okay, you think he wrote that book and didn't get paid something for doing that damn book? Man, yeah, these people always get paid for something. Always getting paid for something, man. So I'm in the live stream now. That's here for both my first little simulcast on. I'm gonna show my people over here. Let me see if I can get this around here. Show the people what the other people been seeing this whole time. So yeah, y'all, this is what I'm doing over here. Let me adjust that. So this is what the folks over there are really seeing and y'all not being able to see in TikTok land, you know what I mean? I wonder if I could, maybe next time I might, let's see if I can make this bigger for y'all. I can't make that smaller. I was about to say I might do it like, cause right here is real time versus when I was holding my phone up, and here y'all can actually see my motherfucking yeah, y'all can see the shit. Y'all can see the shit if I was to do this just like they can see it. I might next time I do my broadcast, I might do it like this. Figure out how I'm gonna get this as close to that screen as possible where you can see the good part. But yeah, I would like for y'all to see like the same thing they get to see, and simulcast it like that. Yeah, hold on, what y'all saying? And you can make it a full screen. Yeah, I don't know, in OBS, let's see. OBS, it looks like that's about as big. It won't let me take out my mixers and stuff, which that's fine. I need to keep an eye on that shit. But you know, I am trying to get it as professional as possible. So getting that out of the goddamn shot would be ideal. Would be damn deal. How come I can't exit the full screen mode? I do it like that. I may think about doing it this way, or I might just keep it in front of the either way, because I do like the fact that y'all can see me this way. I think that's dope. You coming in, you see the quality. While I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think of a good way to get this quality outputted. Can I multi-output this bitch via HDMI? I don't think I can. I was trying to think, because the thing with TikTok is you have to use TikTok Studio in order to stream via desktop or laptop, whatever. And the problem with that is you have to do it on a Windows computer. Now, I have a Mac right here, but I do have a Windows computer that I bought for that reason. But then I would have to have a way to have the output dual outputted out to the other computer. But you know what? I do have another Blackmagic Cinema camera, and I could independently have that one plugged in going on TikTok Studio. I should be able to also have my little bottom part, my little Samuel Haliko Hio and today's topic shit. I'm thinking in my head, y'all. I should be able to do it. I might have to figure out a way, because I want y'all to get the good quality. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all my folks. I like coming over here, and I'm doing this for YouTube just to have the long form out there on YouTube also, and starting to get a little bit more serious with being you know, I figured that maybe I can go live 3 to 4 times a week, maybe. But for me, I don't like to regurgitate topics all the time. As y'all know, I've done the Gullah topic a couple times, but I got to get used to doing that sometimes because some people may not have seen it. But that's why I'm also doing it for YouTube, because I know on my YouTube I haven't really done any of these topics in long form. And you know, on TikTok I get to give y'all those 10 minutes, and I'll cram a lot in those 10 minutes, but you got to kind of put them all together after a while. Said Black Walls of Fire, appreciate that. He said, no, fam, it's easier way. I'm telling you, get with me. He says the easier way. Okay, yeah, I got to figure out. Now, I was going to use Restream, which is an app, but for some reason, it wasn't really jiving well with my TikTok login. If I can get Restream, but you know why I didn't, actually, you know why I didn't want to use Restream? There was I couldn't play my audio back from my iPad. I could have sworn I had my audio playing back with my iPad the last time I did this motherfucker on OBS. So anyways, man, I'm dealing with all kinds of technical difficulties, but I do like seeing this on here. I do like seeing this on here instead of me having y'all just directly in front of my laptop, in front of my iPad. And y'all can, as long as y'all can still read what I put out there, which you can, and I can see that you can, then I'm actually cool with that. I might do that next time instead of doing this other way. So anyways, I'm going to get up off of here, man. You know what I mean? Got work in the morning, things to do. Nigga said, yeah. Yeah, I'm probably going to do it that way. So I'm going to get off here. Let me end the little stream with them. Stop streaming. I'm going to say start streaming, nigga. Was I not streaming this whole time? I was about to be pissed. No.